Hello, everyone, and welcome to Creating a Bright Future. Adam and Louise here, and we're so excited for a special night tonight on the 4th of July.
We are. I am thrilled to be joining all of you. And first of all, I want to say congratulations and thank you to each of you for coming on tonight. To me, it shows your enthusiasm, and as much as your enthusiasm, your commitment. And I learned a long time ago from an amazing speaker that 100% enthusiasm plus 100% commitment equals success. So you're all going to be super successful and already are. But I am so happy to have the inspiring, intelligent, smart, beautiful, gorgeous Natalie Grzic with us today. I have known Natalie for the majority of her life and the majority of my time in Nutrimetics. And her mum and I are fabulous friends. And Natalie is one of the most committed, focused young women that I've met. Natalie has the most beautiful husband, Herb, who is just the best dad in the world. And they have a beautiful 3-year-old daughter. And Natalie wears many hats, as so many of the Nutrimetics people do. She actually went to uni, total genius. I didn't say that, but it's true. And became an accountant for 3 months. And after 3 months, Natalie decided that she wanted the lifestyle that her mum had, traveling the world, driving company cars, and choosing when she wanted to work and what she wanted to achieve. Natalie, I love the journey that I have seen over the years since you joined Nutrimetics. I love having you as one of my peers in Nutrimetics. I'm one of Adam's peers in Nutrimetics. I learn as much from you as I hope that you have learnt from me. You are a delight to work with, a delight to brainstorm with about the business. And I'd love to encourage all of you to go through the ranks of consultant to group leader, to senior group leader, to sales manager, to executive sales manager, earn a car, or have the cash for car, become a sales director, and move up to executive sales director, as Natalie is and Adam is today, because that's where the action really happens. And that is where you really get to mix with people who have such commitment, focus, drive, just so entrepreneurial that they make a $1 million business plus from this business. So Natalie, I know that we've chatted and I've asked you to share a lot on personal development. It's something that's always interested you. I just love the psychology of understanding people, and I feel that you have a great depth and intuition of understanding others and seeing how you can meet their needs with both personally and in business. So over to you, my gorgeous friend, Natalie Grzic. Welcome, my love.
That was lots of beautiful words. Thanks so much, Louise. That's really lovely, and you got a little bit of my story there, so that's good. I can skip over a little bit of it, but I will just add a little bit more for those that don't know me. But yes, what Louise said was true. I wasn't long in my accounting career before I decided to start with Nutrimetics. I kind of felt like I couldn't see myself in that kind of role for the next 40-something years. So I thought I'll just give Nutrimetics a go and see how I found it, inspired by the example that I'd seen from my own parents and their success. And I think, one of the biggest things I got from them was knowing actually you can make an amazing income and career from Nutrimetics. It wasn't it wasn't a doubt. There was no doubt, because I'd seen it not just with them, but with their friends, such as Louise. I knew that could be real. And so even though my mum wasn't so involved in training me, that is the big thing that I got from them. And when I started, I was not long out of uni. I had done some professional work while I was at uni, so I had a little bit more than 3 months of experience in the corporate world, but I knew it wasn't really long-term the kind of lifestyle that I wanted. And I feel like I was quite a negative person too. Like, it wasn't, you know, I think university can make you a little bit cynical. I didn't have a lot of life experience at that point. And so probably one of the things I love the most about Nutrimetics is that not just personal development, but this awareness of how you can create the things that you want in your life, that you can change things that you don't like about yourself, and grow into the kind of person that you want to be. And, you know, in my case, and probably for some of you, you can relate to it, but, you know, there were things I didn't even know that I was, that I then discovered, okay, this is not going to take me where I want to go in life. So I'm really going to share with you some of the things that I've found have not just made the difference for me, but also in my experience of helping develop other managers over the years. And when I first started, I think it was about 21 or 22, and I became a sales director within 2 years and elevated about 5 or 6 managers in that time. So I think the first thing that I had was a really strong goal. I kind of felt like if I was going to do Nutrimetics, then I may as well achieve everything that I could. And so much can be achieved just from 3 parties a week, or you know, being in front of people 3 times a week. I wouldn't say that, you know, I think you can do everything based on that, basically, and applying what you learn, and correcting and adjusting what you're doing. So that's what we're going to talk about today. A few things that I love about Nutrimetics are, you know, the freedom to do what you want to do in your life, make your own choices. The other thing I love is that you can always have things to strive for, you know, as opposed to just the endless monotony of a job that I see so many of my friends and indeed my husband experiencing. So I really like that it's not Groundhog Day with Nutrimetics, and that it can really go with you in the seasons of your life, whether, you know, when I first started, I was young and single, then I was married, now I've got a child. So I really love that, as well as the incredible rewards and recognition that you get. But and the travel, I don't know if I said the travel already, but that was definitely a hot button for me when I started to earn trips that I would never spend the money on myself. I do like to travel and I do spend money on trips, but I don't spend money necessarily on the best hotels in the world when it's myself. So that's another thing I love, and the car program. But let's get chatting now about what I have found has made the biggest difference for people and for myself achieving what they want over my 20-something years with Nutrimetics. So obviously skill and discipline and taking regular action. That's my daughter trying to say goodbye. Skill, discipline, taking regular action, they're all really important. But I've also seen people who have the skill, and sometimes even who are taking the action and not necessarily moving forward. And maybe you can relate to that with yourself or people in your team. So the first thing I guess that I want to get you thinking about is that you need to have a strong intention of what you want to create, not just in Nutrimetics, but in your life. And a really great starting point is to write a vision statement. That's what I was told to do when I first started. And basically it's like writing your life a year from now, how you see your life a year from now. For example, when I first started, mine said, it's, you know, April 20th, and I feel so excited to be driving my Nutrimetics car to the monthly meeting with my amazing team. And it also feels great to be living in my beautiful home. I've just redone my kitchen, or whatever it is that you want to put in there that's specific to your goals. So covering all aspects of your life, how you feel in terms of your health, your relationships, your vitality, all those things. So I'm not going to go into it in heaps of detail today because I know many of you guys will already have heard of a vision statement, but I do think it's a really important first step, because what you actually need to do is you need to, when you're new in particular or any stage of the business, you need to train your brain to see the level of success that you want as normal, as already there. And obviously the level of success that you've achieved up to now is in line with what you believe is normal for you now. So it's very important to train your brain and get your subconscious used to this idea that you have and are more of the things than you are right now, if that makes sense. So that's my first tip, is get your vision statement done. Let yourself think big and believe that you can have bigger things than you have right now. And we say 1 year, but it doesn't have to be exactly 1 year that you achieve it, because this is the other thing that I've written down. You know, growth in Nutrimetics, it's about incremental change. When I started, I wasn't a positive person. I tended to look, I called myself a realist, but I didn't have to be super positive overnight. I just had to be moving in the right direction. And that's one of the things that I found with many of my team over the years, was this accepting, okay, I just need to be moving in the right direction. I don't need to be perfect. You know, maybe some of you are watching other type of people that don't start to do things until you feel like you know everything about it. Well, you're never going to know everything and be ready. You've just got to start making the change. And as you make the change, obviously your comfort zone expands, your belief expands, and things that you previously found scary or daunting become normal to you. And public speaking is a great example. So you really want to set a strong intention for all areas of your life. And the other thing is, you want to have an it's happening attitude. So I've always said this to the girls: you have to work out, you have to talk as if it's happening and say it's happening. You want to be on the next trip with Nutrimetics, you've got to act like and talk like it's happening. It's happening, it's happening. And you really need to feed that white wolf. So I'm sure many of you have heard the story of the black wolf and the white wolf on your shoulders, barking at you and telling you the things that you can and can't do. So the black wolf is the one that says, oh, you can't do it, you're always broke, you've never got time, or you know, you fail at things, whatever that voice says. I'm sure we all relate to it. And then the white wolf is the one that says, you can do it, you're amazing. If you take steps and actions, you can create things. You've done it before, you can do it again. So the biggest thing that I've always taught my consultants is to have that awareness of those voices and the acceptance of those voices, but make sure you feed the white wolf. So you want to ask yourself, which one have you been feeding up till now? And the voice, it's the voice in your head. So a bit later, I'm going to talk about bookings and sponsoring, and what is that your voice saying about those things? Does it say, everyone loves to book with me, or people say yes to me? Or does it say, oh, no one's got any money, times are hard, everyone's busy? Like, what does your voice say? Because years ago, I did this training with a bunch of managers, and we had Tammy Williams and Helen Lawson in the room, and we were talking about beliefs about booking as an example. And I asked those girls what they believed, because they had so many bookings in their diary. And of course, they believed bookings come easily. Everyone wants to have a party with me. So again, like I said, Atomic Habits, I don't think I've read that one. I'm just reading the chat. What was I saying? It'll come back to me. Just watch your mindset about the things that are most important in this business. And if I'm saying things and if you feel like bookings don't come easy to you, that's your example of where to start with some great positive affirmations. Because guess what? When I started, I felt bookings didn't come easy to me until my dad, God love him, said, well, other people are getting lots of bookings, so people must want them. Maybe they just don't want them with you. And it was like a reality check, because you can easily, my dad, like myself, is very logical, and he knows the business very well, as anyone who knows my dad will know. But I didn't take it to heart. I just took it as, well, that's true. People are booking parties with people. All around us, we see people right now having incredible growth and doing amazing things. And we see other people that are not. And, you know, we all go through different phases in our life, but we can't argue with the fact that there are people that are getting lots of bookings. And I think those people for sure will have a great positive attitude and belief around bookings. And the same goes with sponsoring. Like, are you the person that says, oh, she just wants to order for herself? Oh, you know, people, nobody wants to join? Or, you know, do you prejudge or assume things about the people that you sponsor or could potentially sponsor? These are so much personal growth, and personal development is about tapping into your own intuition and having self-awareness. And so one of the things that I wrote down was how important it is to ask yourself quality questions. Now, perhaps your upline will ask you some of these questions, but the way that you will become stronger and a better leader is by learning to ask them and do these things independent of your upline or independent of somebody else asking you to do it. And so for me, what I wanted was so specific. I wanted to be a sales director in 2 years. So I really didn't have time to get offended by my beliefs or what people told me. I just thought, right, okay, I can address that. I can take on a more positive attitude around bookings. I can feed my white wolf. And I can honestly say, of course, I still have a black wolf at times, but my black wolf is frail. It doesn't have much strength. It's very easy to knock it over with an attitude of wanting to knock it over. Whereas when I first started, it was big. It needed to be starved, and the white wolf needed to be fed so that it could help me to build my belief and create the things that I wanted. So I always like to mention the movie Field of Dreams. I love the movie. Whenever it's on TV, I can't help watching it again. And for those that don't know it, probably anyone who's born past 2000, but Field of Dreams is from the 80s, and it's got Kevin Costner in it, and he gets this idea that he's going to build a baseball field in the middle of his corn plantation. Anyway, he keeps hearing this message: if you build it, they will come. And that is how I think about my Nutrimetics business. We are building our environment, our vision. And when we have that clear, the people arrive. They do. This is not just my own personal experience, but for example, one of my managers really wanted to go. Well, actually, she was going along doing some parties, and she was doing well. She was a SGL, I think. She was doing well, but her attitude was, oh, well, if I can cover the mortgage, that's good. But then they launched a trip overseas, and she knew she had to be on it. And she went from doing $6,000 a month to doing $24,000 a month within a 6-month period. And that was her belief that if she knew what she wanted and she built the environment, she was going to attract those people. And so that is what I want you guys to think about, is that you are creating it in your mind first, and just trusting the process that the right people come at the right time. That's we're all riding the Nutrimetics train. Another great analogy I'm sure you've heard before, but, as we go along and we're meeting people along the way, we stop our train and we say, Louise, do you want to hop on my train? Come, you'll be great at Nutrimetics. And Louise hops on, and then maybe I ask somebody else, Rhonda, hop on my train. And she says, no, thanks. I can't stop my train for Rhonda. I have to keep my train moving. I just say, Rhonda, I'll come around next time. If you're interested, you jump on then. But when you have your clear vision and your clear intention, and you are managing your mindset and feeding your white wolf and telling your black wolf to bugger off, you're creating this great environment where you do actually get those people jumping on your train. And I've seen it time and time again. And not only that, every time I've had someone who hasn't been getting what they wanted with Nutrimetics, and then they've decided to listen to what I've suggested and implement these ideas, the difference can be, within a week. I mean, as an example, with sponsoring, I've always believed sponsors, the right people will come to me in the right time, in the right way. Now, that doesn't mean that I don't take actions towards sponsoring. But for example, I remember I had my daughter. I was in hospital. I just had her. Someone messages me I haven't heard from for a decade and says, "Hi, Natalie, you still doing Nutrimetics? I want to join." I was like, "Sure," and I just put her in while I was in the hospital. But the point is, that person contacted me out of the blue, and another time I was, it was during COVID. A girl, when I was pregnant, said, "I want to start and do some parties." I said, "Great." I never caught up with her because of COVID and being pregnant. I never taught her a thing. I just got her to watch some online videos, and she started doing parties and sold like $8,000 or whatever it was. Now, I'm not saying that to brag, but what I'm saying is, the more you have that kind of a mindset, why should it be difficult for people to jump into your team? And even if you're new and even if you're not confident what to do, you've got your uplines, you've got that support. So you just need to be the magnet for what you want to attract, if that makes sense. So, if these things that I'm saying now are making you say things like, "Oh, it's all right for her," or "I don't have that luck," that's an example of what you want to start to work on, because I didn't get to that point overnight. But the more I work on my own personal beliefs, so reinforcing the positive statements of what I want. I've got some examples I wrote down. I earn great income working the hours I choose. I find business people everywhere. One of the ones I've always taught my team is I attract people who value me and what I'm offering. I found that was really helpful in my early days for myself personally. There are some examples. I have more than enough time for all the things that are important to me. I have more than enough money for all the things that are important to me. So these are the things that the more you reinforce it, and that is feeding your white wolf, and then you just knock the black wolf off your shoulder. You literally say cancel or bugger off, but the more you stop giving it power, the weaker it becomes. And sure enough, these principles that I've just taught, they're really simple things, and maybe they're things you've already heard, but it's having the discipline to follow through again and again and say, I'm not giving this black wolf power, or whatever I'm not giving this voice power in my mind. That is a discipline. And as I said, it's amazing when you start doing these things, you can see such a difference so quickly. Like, what if you had an affirmation, "I meet the right people at the right time that I can help towards them achieving the things that they want." And that really brings me to another key point that I think is so important to success with Nutrimetics, which is, having a focus of being other people centered. So when I started, my goals were very much about me, which is very normal, I think, but I was also young, and I was trying to set myself up, get a house, do all the things I needed to do. And so, I was looking at my goals each month in relation to what I wanted myself. But then when I was told that I needed to shift my focus to be other people centered, so it was more about how can I help my new girl achieve the things that she wants? How can I help her to build her self-belief, or him? When I started to do that, again, I noticed a big shift, and that was a shift that took me from being a manager to being a sales director. So that's something to think about, you know, when you're setting your goals, to make sure that you are also really thinking about how you can support these people. And it's a fine line because you also want to be detached. You can't, like I said, hold your train up for one person. But my general attitude is the right people show up and I'm going to help them and support them according to good old chessboard management. They move, I move. So my mum taught me that. You know, if you're basically, if you're working with someone, they need to be taking action, and then you will put an action to them, and vice versa. Now, if you're doing all of the chess movements, then they're not the person. Although sometimes if you just say to them, look, Susie, I know you were really excited about Nutrimetics and what it could offer you, and yet when we've had these discussions, you haven't taken action. Would you prefer to step back? Is it not a good time? Or how can we get you taking these actions? Like, what's it going to take? So sometimes just being real about what people are or aren't doing is enough to make them realize that they're not doing it. Anyway, all of this is about you building your muscle of self-belief and building your self-image. So this is a daily practice. There's some saying about you take a shower every day. You need to do this every day. The other thing I wrote down is you need to learn to ride the roller coaster of life and of Nutrimetics. And make no mistake, Nutrimetics is a roller coaster. Something good happens, something bad happens, something good happens, something bad happens. Something good happens, something bad happens. So that is part of it. That is part of any business and even jobs. So, you know, if you're going to have to ride a roller coaster of life, you may as well just ride a fun one. And just, I'm saying this because it's important to accept that it's part of it so that you don't let the roller coasters drag you down. Instead of a roller coaster like this, you want it to be more like this. You learn to accept, okay, sure, ride the wave. Exactly, Marina. So I feel like that's something that over the years, as my consultants have understood, they don't have to give the down so much attention because there is an up. There's a random person that will call you and place an order. There's somebody who will want to join your team. So that's the thing, to just be aware that you're aware of how you ride your roller coaster, but also that you teach your team that the downs are part of it as well, because this is how you're building resilience, which is such a big, important part of the business and of life anyway, as I'm sure you guys would all agree. So I've mentioned about asking yourself quality questions. You know, what are my beliefs around sponsoring? How could I change them so that I can have more ease and flow in that area of my business? They're good quality questions. I've given you a few affirmations, like maybe something has come into your head. Make sure you write it down, because maybe as well you've got good attitudes around booking and sponsoring, but maybe your mindset around having money needs work. So I've had and I still have friends at the moment who every time they get money, something happens. Their windscreen cracks and there goes $500, or, you know, unexpected things that seem to always keep them not having a lot of money. And I don't talk about these things lightly because, of course, I'm not saying people don't want to have money, but if your whole life you've had just enough money to get by, you want to change your energy around that. And I've actually helped people in my team to do that, to move from only just having enough to having more than enough. So maybe that resonates with you. And guess what? When you have a belief that you have more than enough money for all the things that you want, you're opening up the doors for good things to happen. And there's some really good exercises that you can do to train your brain about getting used to having more money in your life. Like one of them was about put $100 in your wallet. Don't spend it, But when you're out, say all the things you could spend it on. Oh, I like that dress. I can spend my $100 on that dress. Or, oh, I want to go and get a manicure. I could do that. So don't spend the money. Just practice in your brain getting used to spending money and seeing how a life might look where you do have more income and more freedom. So hopefully that kind of helps a bit too, because over the years I've found it really has helped. It has helped people who were kind of stuck in a money pattern to change it. So there's a few ideas there. So that I don't know if anyone wants to put any questions in the chat about this. I'm going to shortly move on to some other more general points about what I've found makes for a successful month and makes for a successful achievement of your goals. But the big thing again to really highlight is the importance of incremental change, just one step at a time. I remember reading years ago, you don't have to go from being negative to being elated. You can go from negative to feeling a bit of hope, and that is actually a really big step. And the more you do that, the better. So I'm just going to read abundance mindset. Yeah. So having just generally an abundance mindset is really the key. If really that whole idea of I have more than enough bookings, I have more than enough sponsoring, I have more than enough income, I have more than enough time, like all of those things are really positive. And I think I might have told the story last time, but I used to have a lady who her affirmation about time was, I run around like a blue ass fly, and she really, really did. So, sometimes we don't even realize it. Now, another big tip with managing your mindset is, I'm sure many of you have heard about it, putting the elastic band on your wrist. That is your hard disk reprogrammer. So every time you hear, you notice yourself saying something negative, or maybe not accepting a compliment, maybe someone says something nice about you and you go, oh no, anyone could have done it, or whatever. All these times you actually want to flick your wrist, and it will hurt, and it's meant to hurt, because we're hardwired to avoid pain. So guess what? We might actually stop saying some of those statements that are actually undermining our self-belief and our self-worth. So flick the elastic band. And I've found over the years, I've got many people to do it. And so many people have said to me, wow, I didn't realize that I was so negative. I didn't even realize that I was so focused on what I didn't have, or so focused on a certain belief about something. So that's it. And another thing as well is just having an attitude of gratitude. And I drive past a sign almost every day that says something like, never let the things that you don't have make you forget all the things to be grateful for. And it's a really, I think it's a really nice expression to remind us to be grateful while still striving and wanting more. Affirmations. Okay, Effie, I actually don't really have a list. I like to encourage people to make their own affirmations and share them with their uplines. It's really important that you don't have negatives in that. So you don't want to have one that says something like, yeah, I don't have a problem booking anymore. Like, that's an example. Or likewise, in your vision, you don't want to write things like, it was a real struggle, but I got there in the end. You want things to affirm ease and flow and synchronicity and attracting the right things at the right time. So my advice would be to pick the area that you really want to focus on. And over the years, I've got many girls to do it. Okay, you want to focus on bookings or sponsoring, just have this mantra. If you don't like affirmations, just have it as a mantra. People say yes to me is a real nice, simple one. And just whatever it is that you're wanting to change, ask yourself what you're saying about it and flip it around to something else. So pretty much usually it's the opposite of what you're saying. So that real idea of, I earn great money with Nutrimetics. I work the hours I choose. I attract, incredible business people. For new people, I really have found that I attract people who value me and what I'm offering was really good, because that's when, I mean, once you're a manager and you've had, or once you've done enough parties or been in front of enough people, you've had enough positive experiences that you know that people will value what you've done. But when you're brand new, you feel like everyone's doing you a favor, but of course they're not doing you a favor. You're doing them the favor. You're offering them a beautiful pampering experience. You're offering them your time. So that one is good for new people, just to get used to the idea that also that people can come to them people can come to you in all different ways. Income can come to you in all different ways. Like, to just open up to abundance and good things coming in whatever form they may take. And I think that is one of the ways that I've always felt about sponsoring is I've always been someone who takes consistent action and is very accountable for what I do. But at the same time, I also know that I can meet people in all sorts of ways. And some of the managers that I've brought into my team, I met socially or just randomly. And so I don't link doing parties to attracting people into my team. Even though I think it's very important to do parties, but like, I did a personal development course when I started because I wanted to do it. And from there, I met a woman who joined, and her husband was at the course too and was very excited and supportive. And he actually said to me, I don't care if she makes money, she stopped spending money. So, so that was funny. But yeah, so just the whole idea that things can come easily to you, and that you trust that as you put out your intention of what you're wanting, you're opening up that can happen in unexpected ways. That is, I look at it as, your hands are open. And that's why it's really important actually to let go of the past, or let go of things that you hold on to that don't support you. Because it's like, and a great example is consultants. Say you've got a group leader, and she was an amazing group leader, but now she's got divorced and she's not there anymore. She's ghosted you. It's happened to us all. So we can sit there and try and go after this girl and get her to come back, effectively stopping the train. But I always like to just energetically say, I'm letting Jo go with love. She knows where I am. And now I'm opening up my hands for new possibilities, for new people who I actually can help and support to move forward. So the more you can create, thanks, Julie, the more you can create these kind of attitudes and mindsets as a norm in your head, just things will happen more easily, and you won't have the extreme highs and lows that you can get when things don't go the way that you plan. So I think that were most of my thoughts around personal growth and development and the things that have made the biggest difference for me and my team over the years. So I just wrote, train yourself to expect that a different level of success to where you are is your normal, your new normal. Success, wealth, no matter what it can be, you've got to train yourself to expect that that new space is your new normal. Yes. And enjoy the process too, you don't have to be at the end. You can enjoy the process along the way. And if anything, when you're new and you're excited, I mean, that's the best energy of all. I think for the rest of the time, we're all just trying to get back to and bottle that original energy and enthusiasm and delight that we had when we first joined. I liken it to losing weight. Now, anybody can lose weight, but it's the keeping the weight off that can be the challenge. So anyone can technically become a manager. It just takes a couple of good things happening and a bit of focus, but it's actually the consistent actions and disciplines to take action, disciplines to mind your mindset. It's those things that actually that's the stuff that we're really working towards, is so that we can actually hold that vision beyond the initial enthusiasm and excitement. So now I'm just going to move on a little bit. Thanks, Deanna. Now I'm going to move on a little bit to talk about the things to do monthly. Louise asked me to share some monthly focuses that make a difference. And as you would have gathered so far, I'm actually really about making the actions that I take count, especially now as a mother with young children. If it's not worth doing, I try to do the things that matter and minimize the other things. So I've always tried to work with real focus each day. So the kind of things that I've always taught out to people is if you want to move forward in Nutrimetics, you need to focus on taking at least 3 meaningful actions a day. And believe it or not, just doing that, you will see a dramatic result very quickly. Because otherwise what happens is a week goes past, you get online, you watch your meeting or you go to your meeting and you're like, oh my God, I didn't do anything. But if you can just focus on 3 meaningful actions, you will move forward. Maybe you can only focus on 1 meaningful action a day, but you'll still move forward. So one of the things that I've written down is how important it is to plan out your diary each month. And you have to really focus on what you can do. And doing that well, and making sure that it is something that actually will grow your business. So I always had it on my fridge to ask myself each day, what am I doing today to grow my business? Because cleaning my office does not grow my business. And that's probably why my office is never clean. If you could see what's behind this picture, it's quite funny. But, if you need to clean your office to be focused, so be it. But it's not that important for me. So what is something I can do today to grow my business? I can talk to people. I can get out there and put products on people. And that's one of the specific things I wrote on my list is, if you take products out of the house 3 times a week and put them on people, you'll make great money and grow your team. And that is just it. And it doesn't matter if you're an ESD or a brand new consultant, you will still have events where you sell very little or nothing, but you will also have some that are crazy amazing. And I always say Nutrimetics keeps you humble, because you can one day do a $1,500 facial and you'll be feeling on top of the world, and then the next one you can do is zero. It happens to the best of us, especially when you're working with new leads as opposed to building a party base. But my dad always taught me you've got to look at averages. On average, if you walk out the door 3 days a week, you'll make money with Nutrimetics. And that's because you might do 1,500, you might do 200, you might do 300. But when you average all of that out, you're going to sell at least your 4,000 or more a month. And therefore, you're going to make your $1,800 or more a month. And the other thing my dad always used to say, he's a very logical guy like myself. He always said, if I gave you $1,000 right now to go out and book 10 parties, who'd do it? I can see a few people. Who'd do it? Yes. And the reality is, if you went out and booked 10 parties, you'd make your $1,000. You'd more than make $1,000. So it really is a numbers game. And I think it's the same with sponsoring. I always say, for every 10 people you sponsor, 2 of them will ghost you, or you'll never hear from them. 2 of them you might hear from when they need you 6 months down the track when they're about to go inactive. 2 of them will be great. 2 of them will be okay. I mean, it's a numbers game. So the more you understand that, you don't get offended or you don't let that get you down. That's my stats. And most of my team have similar stats in terms of they know that they need to bring 10 people in to get a couple of good people. That's just the way it is. So understanding the averages so that you don't let any individual result affect you. Anyway, so walk out the door at least 3 times a week. Or if you can't do 3 times, do 2 times. Like I said, focus on what you can do, because you can achieve a lot as long as you do it consistently. I think so much of what I've achieved is just consistent action, not amazing action. I'm not the best seller. I'm certainly not great at putting makeup on. I'm not the best booker. I'm not the best at customer servicing, but, you know, I've learned all the skills and I take consistent action and I correct and adjust as I go through, and ask myself, and this is kind of another thing that you can add into your thing, not to just do monthly, but daily, is just to ask yourself each day when you do something, what am I happy with and what would I do differently? Because that's how you get better. So, for example, you might have done a party and you might have had 2 people turn up, or 2 in the hostess, so 3, and you might have sold really well. You might have booked 1, but where did you fall down? You might think, next time what I'd do is I'd do better hostess coaching so that that person had 5 people instead of 2. So, you know, learning to ask yourself, what will I do better? What will I do differently? And not waiting for your upline to be that person, but getting to do it yourself, because that's how you can actually coach other people. So, you know, the more you can be independent and be able to analyze your results independently, the more you're going to be able to help other people to do the same. Because when I came out as sales director, I didn't actually have a lot of support. My mum was overseas. I mean, I didn't have support in terms of someone doing interviews with me. No one was helping me do one-on-ones. I just learned how to do it and kept correcting what I was doing. Yes, so Jenny's like, the 3 times a week. I'm telling you, walk out the door 3 times a week and you will notice a massive difference. And the facial challenge is great too if you're starting out. I always talk about doing the facial challenge or getting your consultants to do it, which is just encouraging them to get to do 10 facials. I usually teach a facial class and then I say, okay, do 10 facials in the next 2 weeks and I'll give you some products towards your kit. And I've got, like, you know, tips on how to do facials and how to sell. But I always say the first couple can be your son, your girl, your daughter, your bestie. But as they do that, they build the confidence to then be able to branch out. And if you're new and you don't know how to talk to your friends, it's a good excuse to just say, you know, can I borrow your face? I've been given a challenge. I have to do 10 facials. Can you do me a favor? Can you get your next door neighbor along or your friend so that I can do 2? I'd really appreciate it. And that's helped so many of my people move forward, because the first few, they're scared, but then they realize actually that they got positive feedback. They often got sales. So it then motivates them to do some more. And particularly for people who are a bit scared of makeup, it's a great, you know, facials are generally, I think, things that people feel more comfortable with. I mean, it took me ages to want to do makeups, to be honest. I did some basic makeup classes or parties, but it wasn't something that I've never promoted wedding makeup. I've never done glamour. It's just not something that I specialize in. And I'm saying that so that you realize that you don't have to be good at those things. You just find what you are good at and work on the things that are important that you maybe aren't good at and get them to a point that you're decent. Like, I'm a decent booker. I'm just not an amazing booker. But, well, you know, if you, one of my managers always used to say that if you rely on Nutrimetics to put food on your table, you know how to book. And that's just the truth, because, you know, you've got to just learn that skill. And the good thing with so many of the skills in Nutrimetics is that, you know, there's so many tips on how to do that, and strategies on how to do that. Exactly what Marina just said. It's about your why. And I was talking about one of my managers whose business completely changed when she wanted to go overseas. And it's because she stopped seeing or focusing on or even seeing and really giving any energy to the people that said no. All she was doing was looking for her yeses, because that was the only way she was going to get where she wanted to go. And she had at the time 2 young children. Her hubby was working. you know, she had every reason to not book and not do things, and yet she focused on what she wanted and taking the actions that she could based on her current situation. And I'm pretty much in the same boat right now. You know, I've got a young child that I'm primarily looking after, and I'm just enjoying that, but I'm just focusing on the actions that I can take. And also, I guess I'm kind of saying, well, this is what I can do. So I'm just going to focus the best that I can on getting the results at the things that I can do, if that makes sense, rather than letting my circumstances dictate what I can achieve, if that makes sense. That's why, you know, they always say if you want something done, give it to a busy person. Like often they're so used to just being super efficient that we've had many people over the years who've built amazing businesses while working full time and having a lot of things on their plate. I'm sure some on this call right now. And, you know, that's the power of focusing on what you can do and having that can-do attitude. Exactly. So, okay, so in terms of the things to do monthly, definitely planning out your diary, working out where you can fit things and committing to fill those spots no matter what. When I have spots that I can't fill, I often try and do like a home party. And I've often got my girls to do that as well. And that is basically like, okay, get 3 people to come to your place and ask them each to bring 2 people or 1 person. That's 6 people in your room. And I did one on the weekend because I had the time, and I had 3 different groups. One lady bought 2, one bought her daughter, and one bought, there were 2 people that I'd met at parties but sort of hadn't seen for a while. And I think, well, some of them went and did orders. I think we had 2 joiners. You know, it was at least $1,000 worth of orders that happened. And that was just me putting it out there. And so one of the things I wrote down is how important it is to connect each month with at least some of your customers and or consultants. So for me, I like to find an excuse to contact people. So, you know, one of the things you can say is, oh, you know, Sue's just a courtesy call. I just want to see how you're going with your products. Ideally you want to call people and connect with them, but I also know there's a whole generation of people who do not want to talk on the phone, so then text them. But then there's people who like and appreciate a chat. So I guess part of Nutrimetics is also you kind of get to understand different personalities and what they like. But anyway, I like to try to call people. One of the things I always put into my diary is a night, at least one night a week, of making phone calls, primarily to focus on bookings or, you know, following up bookings, creating bookings, all those kind of things. But doing a home party at the last minute or teaching your team that they can do that is great, because some of my girls, for example, don't really do parties, but they do things in their own home, and that it's a way to service customers and build a customer base if you always invite them to bring somebody new. So I might use setting up an event as an excuse to contact people. And this is where it doesn't actually matter if people can or can't come. So many people message and say, so I might just message something and say, hi, Sue, it's Natalie from Nutrimetics. I hope you're being really well. Just a quick courtesy call. Wanted to see how you're going with your products. And also, I'm running a self-care Sunday event this Sunday. I thought I'd see if you may like to come along. Something like that. And from there, I find people respond, and then sometimes they say, oh, I can't. But maybe next time. And so sometimes it's just I might reconnect with them a month or 2 later, and then they come then, which is what happened the other day. Most of those people were people that had said they would come to something else, and I followed them up. So that's how you build rapport and build relationships with people. And anyone that's coming, I always say bring a friend or 2, because most people want to bring somebody. They don't necessarily want to go by themselves. So that's just an example of something you could do if you've got a last minute spot, or of course the facial challenge, or even if you're experienced with facials, I've taught people over the years to just say, look, I've been given a challenge to do 5 facials this week. Can I borrow your face? Can you have another person there so that you've got 2 people? So you can do that anytime. But it's having that discipline to make sure you fill the spots so that you get out there and put product on people so that you get the results that we were talking about. So when I make my weekly calls, I always want to try and just connect with people. Today, I was looking at, people who'd ordered through my website, or, I was following up my sponsors. So just putting actual time aside to do that. And that's another specific thing on the list. So I've got take your products out the door 3 times a week, plan out your diary for the month, follow up the people that you sponsor, because over the years, there's people, I've just popped a brochure in the mail to them and a little letter explaining about the free products they can get. And some of them will never return a single call, but they'll put in an order. So, I've usually got a whole sort of protocol for what to do with new people. I send them a welcome text, a welcome email. Then I follow them up a few weeks later, just give them a bit of time to get their products, how they're going. For those people that you can't do a kit delivery with, because back in the day, we used to do a lot of kit deliveries, but because a lot of people are joining more, have their own account, and it's a bit hard to deliver nothing. So you've got to find new ways around it. So I've got my steps of what I follow. And if people are not engaging with me, like returning a call or a message, I'll still follow those steps, send them an email, text them, hey, did you get a chance to log in? Can we make a time to have a chat? So those are the kinds of things that I do consistently. And then people come back and go, I might have tried them a few times, and they say, sorry, I've been busy. I appreciate you touching base. I can make a time to talk. So it's just about doing things consistently so that you can find the good people and not assuming, oh, she wasn't interested, so I won't bother to follow her up. Because I'm sure everyone who's been around a while will agree that some of the people who you think won't do anything, or who tell you they won't do anything, they do things. So you've got to apply the same follow-up principles to everybody, and not assume that they will or won't. Yes, exactly, Marina. People will think about you. Could you keep in touch? And I always say to them, save my number in your phone so you've got me, and I do actually send, I have a group, I have a broadcast on WhatsApp messages. So a broadcast is where you can send messages to 250 people, but when they reply, they only reply back to you. So I know there's other apps like Hit 'em Up and all that, but I just use WhatsApp. The good thing with WhatsApp is you can see who's read your messages. And I just found that I've had great responses with WhatsApp, that a lot of people respond back, and it's easy to attach a whole brochure in there for people that don't look at their email. So I always like to ask people, do you like email? Do you like messaging, WhatsApp? Like, what suits them? What's a good way to communicate with them? For example, when they join, when I meet them and they join, I'll just say, now, Joe, what's going to happen is you're going to get a message from Nutrimetics that will explain about your account perks and things, but I'd like to make a quick time to have a quick chat with you. Usually it is over the phone. And I also just like to understand, like, generally, do you like getting an email or do you prefer a text? And people go, oh, email me, or oh, text me. So that way it also, I guess, reinforces that they can expect to hear from you, and maybe makes them feel more inclined to respond. So that's just some tips in terms of the sponsor follow-up, but I just try to do that weekly. Not all the people every week, but just a few people each week. I try to do again, weekly connection with either clients, or I count all my home shoppers or account holders as clients as well, because that's how most of them see themselves. So I like to still give them the same kind of service as my customers in terms of how you're going. This is a courtesy call. Wanted to see how you're going with your products. Sometimes I'll offer to send them a free sample pack. I find if I'm sending messages to people, if I ask them a question, they're more likely to respond. So tell me, would you like, please let me know if you'd love to get a brochure. Then they'll respond and say, love a brochure. Yeah, Marina, it's a broadcast. It's not a group, just so you know. Yeah, and I've got a broadcast as well for my customers. So they're just people that never ever look at their emails. So so that works for them. And the other thing I wrote down, which was the first thing I wrote down, but the last thing I'm talking about because I'm going to finish up, was to have a non-negotiable sponsoring goal. And when I first started, I was so focused on always meeting my non-negotiable sponsoring goal. And it used to be about $200 to join Nutrimetics when I started. But I always knew that I had to finish the month with my minimum non-negotiable sponsoring goal. So at the time, it was for me to do 5 personally and 10 in my group. That's what I started with and felt comfortable with. And that's what I taught out to my team. It's different these days because it's free to join. But, you know, it's important whenever you're setting a goal that you set one that you feel is achievable for you so that you still try for it. Because if you set a goal that realistically isn't going to happen, it can undermine your own self-confidence because you won't take actions to achieve it because it's too big. It's better to set, that's why you can have a goal. Let's say your goal is to sponsor 20, but you have to have your non-negotiable, the one that you are not finishing the month without doing. That keeps you moving forward. New people are what keep you excited in the business as well. So it's really important to commit to yourself to take the steps to complete that non-negotiable sponsoring goal, whatever it may be. But for me, I always used to reward myself with something, and I would not take the reward unless I did it. And it wasn't a big reward, but it doesn't hurt to have rewards. I just remember one of my ladies, whenever she'd do a booking hour, she loved champagne. Every booking she'd have a sip of champagne. When she'd done her hour, she'd finish the bottle. So you know, you got to find yourself something. But you know what? You got lots of bookings. So you got to find yourself something that helps you stick to those day-to-day disciplines. You know, and for example, maybe you want to watch some show on Netflix. You don't watch it till you've finished what you've set yourself. So yeah, there was some of the ideas that I had about the things that I feel has made the biggest difference to not just me achieving my goals, but also my seeing my managers or people achieve their goals, whether that be as managers or group leaders or whatever it was. So hopefully you found that helpful. If anyone has any questions, I think I'll finish up.
Amazing, Natalie. Thank you so much for sharing. It really it took me back actually to when I first joined with Nutrimetics, and I would come along to your training at Rydalmere occasionally.
Yes.
And just yeah, just an absolute wealth of knowledge. My goodness, so many things. We've got so many pages of notes.
Pages.
Well, of course, anyone who knows me knows I've been saying the same thing for 20 years.
Well, it's hit a different way for me this time. So isn't it, as it does for many of us in different stages of our life and our business. But love what you started with and knowing an amazing income. I think we've been so blessed having parents in the business to know and see what an incredible income is available. And we just want to share that with everyone. Like, we want you to know that you can earn $5,000 a month from your Nutrimetics business. You can earn $10,000 a month. You can earn $20,000 a month and more, that is possible and that's achievable with you working your own hours, being your own boss, I know Danny, one of my best friend and also one of the newest managers in my team, said to me in January, Adam, I want to start this as a part-time business, but I need to earn $5,000 a month. Is that possible? And I said, yes, it is. We've got some work to do, but this is definitely possible. And Danny has earned $5,000 a month from January to June, working her business part-time. So, have that belief that it's possible and then go out and get it. Awareness and grow into the person that you want to be. Just so powerful there. That Nutrimetics is available to you in all seasons of your life. It takes skill, discipline, and taking action. Have a strong intention and a vision statement. Train your brain to be more, to have more, to want more. Moving in the right direction, and doesn't need to be perfect. Love that, Natalie. And a lot of what you said tonight was really real, which I loved too, about that you don't have to be incredible at anything. You just have to be good enough to be able to get some results and be consistent. Expand your comfort zone and your belief expands. It's happening attitude with the trips, the car, the income. We were talking today on our board meeting about the new gallery of gifts that we have for group leaders and above. I mean, how exciting is this? There are so many incredible things on there. So pop them up on your iPad, on your computer screen, on the background of your phone, on your fridge, in your bathroom, so you can really make those a reality, and ask your family what they want from there as well. What do we want to achieve? What do we want to go for? The voice inside your head, what does it say? Yeah, that's always interesting when we start becoming aware of that, isn't it? And really making an effort to notice first, to become aware, and then to start to change those voices and that thought pattern. Ask yourself quality questions around booking, sponsoring, and development. I remember when I moved to the Sunshine Coast, and it was a new area, and I was really wanting to develop a group leader, and I knew I could develop group leaders. So I just kept practicing it. And after 10 months, I was like, Mum, I don't know if I can develop a group leader anymore, because I hadn't developed one in 10 months. And she said, Adam, you can, you just keep doing it. And then month 11, developed a group leader, and then it just continued. And now I believe we can develop a group leader in one day. I believe all it takes to develop a group leader is one day, one focused, committed 16-hour day, which is possible. So build the environment, and you're creating it all with your mind. Reinforce those positive statements. Like, I attract people in my team who value me and my time. I have more than enough time to do all the things I choose to do, is something that was the version of that time statement that I was taught as a kid as well, Nat. Building your white wolf is a discipline. Being other people focused, because you'll achieve so many more goals when you're focused on others than just ourselves. Chessboard management, you move, I move. I love that. And then having that conversation, having the difficult conversations with people as well. And I like to sort of touch base, and this is going on from what you said, and saying, is your goal that we spoke about last time still your goal? Is that still important to you? Because if it is, let's run towards it. If it's not, that's cool, but I just need to know, because last time you told me that. I've got it written down here. So it's nice to be able to have those check-ins with our team and with ourselves, and see, is this still our truth? Is this still what we want to work and move towards? And if not, then let's tweak it. The muscle of self-belief and self-image, and building that up every single day. Accepting the ups and downs, changing the money pattern. I'm going to try that $100. I really like that, Nat, because I went in and I bought the shoes already. So I need to, practice that one. Negativity check-in with the elastic band, something that we've loved to do and we've loved to teach as well. I think that's incredible. Create attitudes and mindsets to hold vision beyond the initial enthusiasm and excitement. And I just believe that, as you mentioned, when the vision is big, it's all you can see. It doesn't really matter what comes up or what happens. The vision doesn't change. You're still going to find a way to work towards that. Like, you have to, because there's no other option. That's how strong it is. And I find that really powerful. And then your action tasks. 3 meaningful actions per day. Love that. I've written that down and will definitely be implementing and training that. Planning your diary each month and committing to those spots. Whether you sell $0 or 1,500. So over the last week, I think I did around 8 makeup masterclasses, and 2 of them I sold $0. And it was a great reality check. And did I do anything different to the one that I sold $2,500 or $3,000 at in the past week as well? Absolutely not. They were the same amount of people. They were just as wonderful. I had just as much fun, and the results were completely different. So it is about just doing it and doing it and doing it again, and yeah, and celebrating the wins, but also being humbled and having a little bit of a laugh by the workshops or the treatments or parties or masterclasses that don't bring in the big sales. One of my managers said to me more recently, Adam, I've done 4 makeup masterclasses in the past week and I've got $0 in sales. And last week I did 2 and I had $0 as well. And I was starting to think, I'm like, oh gosh, she's like, I don't know if I'm doing anything wrong. And I said, just keep doing it. Keep doing it. Like, surely, fingers crossed, something it's got to work. And it did. It went back to her average of $1,000 quite quickly over the next 2 masterclasses. So, it's just about that consistent action, as you said, checking in with yourself independently. I love that as well. The facial challenge, something that we've been working on this year with our team. I find it so crucial for anyone that gets started going out and doing those 10 facials.
Yeah.
So love that. And also every time we have a new product with Nutrimetics, it's a new reason to practice 10 facials. 10 vitamin C facials, 10 retinol facials, 10 peel facials, 10 microdermabrasion facials, 10 vitamin B facials.
10 hyaluronic acid
10 hyaluronic acid facials.
With our pre-launch pack.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
10 gua sha facials. And then it's winter, hot towel therapy facials. Then it's summer meltdown facials. There's always a reason to get in front of people. Self-care Sunday events. Who loves the idea of that? Who's booking in a self-care Sunday event? Love that idea, Nat. Such a great reason to reach out. And
can I say one thing I do with that, which is a good tip that I always teach my team, is I always message 2 times. But I know I'm only going to do one, but I might say, I'm doing either Saturday at 7:30 or Sunday afternoon or whatever. And I find people tend to go for the same one, but you don't always know when it would be. And that way I can, if everyone comes back and says the time that I was kind of the backup, I can still swap it and I'm not sending multiple messages. So that's what I do, so that I don't actually tend to do 2, but I like to give more than one option.
That's smart. I like that.
Yes.
Yeah. And sponsoring, have a sponsoring goal. We like to set your realistic or your non-negotiable and then your stretch. And love having a stretch. And when it started for me in the business, I remember some of the appointments and business coaches that I went to, they said, Adam, like minimum 20 for your goals and for what you want to achieve, minimum 20 in the business. Personally, when it's just you, and then build up from there. I find when we have 100 people in an ESM ship being sponsored each month, that leads towards a sales directorship as well. So that's what I've found. But as we know in our business, a minimum 20 in the ESM ship is going to be stable, if not moving towards growth. So that's really exciting. But what an exciting month we have here in the month of July. Nat, I think you have set the most perfect tone for July for us to all get out there, to kick some goals, to listen to our self-talk, and to set a big sponsoring goal. So we so appreciate your time here tonight. So thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you,
guys. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. That was just perfect. Oh my goodness. I'm going to reread these notes every day for the month of July. That's non-negotiable, because let's get our brain in the right place. And
there was one other thing I was just going to mention, which is there's this woman called Dana Wild, and she has a series called Train Your Brain. And years ago I had the audio, but I think you can follow her on Facebook, and she has a lot of, like, if you look her up, her name's Dana Wild. I think it's WILDE, but she does a lot of training specific to direct selling. So I think, and like I said, I think you can look at quite a lot of her free materials, but she talks, train your brain is her term, actually. I just borrowed it.
There are so many podcasts, Audible books, everything that you can listen to, many of which we paid thousands of dollars to go along and watch people do it. And now I listen in the car and fill my brain with how do you build a business? How do you create a winning team? How do you work on yourself? I just love it. Absolutely love the psychology of it and love sharing that with the people who are ready to be shared with. So I believe in setting up July so that your August, September, October, November, and December are brilliant. Just like retail, and Adam and I have quite a few friends in retail, the last quarter of the year is the highest paying quarter of the year. And in Nutrimetics, the last quarter of the year is where we can make the most money compared to any other quarter. So please put the work into July, August, and September and have the most amazing October, November, and December. And I'd also love those of you that love to travel, get ready for the next trip to be released. Our qualification is September, October, November, December, and January. And it won't be long before we are shared the destination of the next trip. So thank you for joining us. Love you all to join Adam and I, or if Adam's working, it will be myself, and our special guest speaker for August is Lynn Perkins. I was going to say our amazing Queen of Seminar at conference in February. And by the way, Natalie was our amazing Queen of Seminar at conference for executive sales directors. Lynn, as an executive sales manager, lives just outside of Newcastle in a country town and is so real and so authentic, just as you are, Natalie. I really, really appreciate your time and your wisdom tonight. Thanks again, my darling friend.
Thanks.
Thank you, everyone.